We need it. All right, that's going to do it for us here on Good Day Chicago. Stay right here. Chicago Now starts next.
Caitlin's back. Caitlin's back. How was the field trip? Didn't you go on a field trip yesterday?
Yeah. We went to a little place to paint a board. It was super cute. It was actually really fun to see my 4-year-old in her element. She wears dresses every day. Like, not dresses that you would wear for like school, but like ball gown kind of dresses.
She likes to keep it
like
nice,
the frozen
formal
dresses, or very formal. So she wore her bright pink trained dress to her event yesterday with her crown. She wears a crown every day too. My daughter, every day.
Like a tiara?
Yeah.
So when you say you went to go paint a board, that doesn't sound like a full day field trip.
No, it was definitely just like an hour.
Okay. Well, what does that mean?
But it was fun to see her interacting with her little friends.
Yeah.
And she's the typical middle kid. So like my oldest child, she's kind of more shy. She would be more reserved in like the group of children. Like she very, very sweet. Darcy is more of like, she just goes to her own beat. And so she's just focused on what she wants to do. And it's so funny because that's attractive to other students. Like they want to
get in on that
independent one. Yeah. So it's just fun to see, like, you know, your kids.
The differences.
Huge differences. What did I miss yesterday? What was the big news?
The big news of the morning, Caitlin, was this train derailment out of Chicago Ridge. So it went off the tracks, a 9,000-foot freight train. And 10 of the cars, it just kind of collapsed on itself right near the Chicago Ridge. And so they had to shut down the metro pretty much all morning. I'm super impressed, actually, in the cleanup effort. CSX Railroad, along with Metro, they collabed yesterday all day, cleaned the whole thing up. And so everything was running smoothly by 5:30 this morning.
Whoa.
But they're still looking into how it happened. No hazardous materials, no one injured. So those are good things. So that was kind of the big story of the morning.
Big to do.
Yeah. So it's back on track today.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, and then this is really exciting as we kind of cruise into Valentine's Day weekend. How nice and warm it's going to be.
Very warm, very mild. Excited about this.
Listen, I'm super excited about this because your guys' forecasts are kind of taking us through to late February or like at least deep into February. And if we could escape February with these above average temperatures, then March is around, and then we're kind of all downhill. Then we're all downhill till spring break.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden,
I think we need this. I think I need this selfishly. Mentally.
You were not doing well at the end of January.
Yeah, it's just winter is like it's I'm over it at this point.
I know, but
I've got like twitchy eyelids. I don't know what's going on with me. I was asking
first thing she said is like, "You ever get?" I do get twitchy eyelids though when I'm dehydrated. And it is really annoying because you can feel it just flutter. I have not noticed it though. I mean,
to see it? Oh, I don't think you'd be able to see it. I could just feel it, but it's been going on for like a week and a half.
A week and a half.
My dad looked it up. I guess it could be lack of sleep. Maybe I need to sleep a little more.
Yeah. That's true. Actually, I have heard that too. Lack of sleep.
Next time we have a doctor on, I'll have to ask, what's up with the twitchy eyelids? But I think I just need to get my vitamins, which you mentioned how you take vitamin D.
Yes.
I don't know if you at home are taking some vitamin D. And then sunshine just in person. Like I would love to go on a sunny vacay.
Okay, there you go.
You know.
The eye talk, actually, one other update. Before we get to Michael Babcock, I went to the eye doctor yesterday. And it is time for me to officially become an old man. Okay? I'm going for the reading glasses.
Cute.
Like, cute, right? No, I'm talking about those because my eyes are at the point where if I get the contacts that are optimized for the teleprompter, then I'm going to lose everything up close.
Do you wear contacts now?
Right, yeah. So I've got contacts right now, but when the contacts are tuned in for the long distance, I'm not going to be able to read up close, really small fine print. So I'm going to be the guy now.
That pulls out.
Yes, I'm going to be that guy. And so now, next time I go to Walgreens, I'm going to get the little. I've been eyeballing these things near the checkout counter. You know those little 3-packs of like reading glasses. I'm going to be that guy now.
Would you get LASIK?
You know, that's a really good question because I spend a lot of money each year to get a year supply of daily contacts.
Yeah, right.
We've done the math, and I think it's something like the LASIK would pay for itself after like 4 or 5 years of that.
Oof.
And so
Eek.
it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm still a little scared of
scared.
LASIK. Do you have LASIK?
No. No.
Are you one of those perfect vision people?
Yeah.
That is so unfair.
But I'm one of those people too that wanted glasses.
What?
So I got my eyes checked thinking for sure I could use some sort of glasses, right? This
You
was
could
years
still
ago.
wear them as a fashion.
I like
Actually,
fake ones,
people
yeah.
are like, hey, why don't you wear them as a fashion thing? You can't. Here's why. With my
They're gonna make
eyes,
your eyes look
they'll look the
big.
little tiny ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they make your.
Yeah. I get it.
You are in a perfect spot for that though, because you can just get the cool frames
The
that
fake
won't
ones.
make your
Yeah, or like the blue light, whatever, blocking glasses. Yeah.
blue
whatever.
blockers. That's going way back.
Blue blocker, right?
Blue block.
Blue blocker?
The orange ones. Those are great.
Yes. Yeah,
Caitlin.
you could get a pair of those bad
Man,
boys. Yeah,
man.
no, I don't know about the LASIKs though, because I guess you're awake, you're aware.
I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not so thrilled about the idea of going laser on my eye. But
No, I probably wouldn't do it, honestly.
we have Michael Babcock standing by to get us updated on a couple of big stories. Michael, good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
All right.
How you doing, guys?
We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Things are looking up here in Chicago weather-wise. We're gonna
That's
we're
what I
gonna
like
crack
to hear.
50
Is it
and
warming
60
up?
degrees. Yes, so that's great. Why don't we start off on a little bit lighter of a note than the Nancy
Yeah.
Guthrie stuff and Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. I saw some footage of them coming in and out of court. Update us on why they are back in the news now.
Yeah, they were actually under the same roof, and I don't know if there's two people in this world that dislike each other more than Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, but they were in the same building yesterday. So they have a trial scheduled for May 18th. Remember that they both went at each other here publicly and in the court system, but much of Justin Baldoni's case against Blake Lively has been dismissed. It's been thrown out, but she is still suing him. She claims that she was harassed on the set of It Ends With Us, the big movie that they starred in together. So short of this May 18th trial date that's set, the judge said, let's call it a Hail Mary attempt. Let's try and get under one roof and let's see if we can hash out some sort of agreement here so we don't have to go to trial. We don't have to have everybody go through this unnecessary trial if we can avoid it. I think shocking to no one, that did not happen. There was no agreement struck, and I think you're likely going to get this trial on May 18th because they've gone through it this far. I think they've both taken a massive PR hit. So, at this point, what's the harm?
Wait. Whose idea was it to get a deal going? The judge?
Well, the judge wanted to see if they could strike a deal before trial because it takes
And they
time,
couldn't?
it costs money as as far as these really high-priced attorneys. So, judge says, let's see if we can get a deal done.
And Blake
So this
was
will-
Probably
not on-
unlikely.
on board.
Yeah, and I think the last, I don't know if it's an equivalent, but the last time we saw, two recognizable people go at it in court, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So,
Yeah.
Michael, will you kind of paint a picture for just how many details are going to come out? If it looks like it's going to trial, does this mean, can of worms, it's just all going to be out there?
Yeah, I think so, Anthony, because you had Taylor Swift who was involved in this case on the periphery. She was really close friends with Blake Lively. So I think we've already seen dozens and dozens of pages of text messages released showing Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, in communication about Justin Baldoni and talking in a really bad way, a negative way about him. And there's been a lot of communications. These are things obviously that big stars typically would not want out there. Taylor Swift does not want her conversations out there with Blake Lively. She certainly does not want that seen by anybody, but they have been. And I think you are going to see more attention put on these pieces of evidence that have been released. So, yeah, I think it's probably much like the Amber Heard and the Johnny Depp case that you just brought up, much like that. A lot of details that they would not have wanted out there came out. I think you'll see the same thing here if it actually does go to trial, which I expect it will.
Do you think it'll be plastered all over social media, just streaming it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to. That's a good question. I was asking myself that. If this is does it get the same amount of attention? Because that Johnny Depp, remember that was, I think that was on like Court TV every day, and right? I mean, it really got a ton of attention and captivated the country to some degree. I don't know what that says about us, but I would think, depending on what is televised and what's not, I would think that would have a big impact on how much attention it ultimately gets. But yeah, she's a big star. He's pretty well known, and I think it probably does get a lot of attention.
I agree. Now, legally speaking here, I know that Justin Baldoni's countersuit was thrown out. So what are can you set this up legally for us a little bit? I know, you're not a lawyer per se. Well, maybe you are.
No, I'm not. Okay. There are quite a few here, though. But
yeah, because I know Harvey is, right?
Harvey is. We got a few.
Okay, you got a few in-house. But yeah, in terms of, like, legally speaking, how does this look for Blake winning her case?
For me, and again, not an attorney, I haven't seen, and I think the consensus is that we have not yet seen this overwhelming piece of evidence that makes you say, Justin Baldoni treated Blake Lively horribly on set, and that she was wrong. Then absolutely, she's got a case here. She has pointed to some things. I mean, there have been some deleted scenes. I think we maybe although that looks like it's probably from the movie. We have seen some scenes, some unedited scenes from the movie where you could hear some of the conversation between Justin and Blake on set. And I don't think that there's a smoking gun by any stretch at this point, at least. But maybe there are pieces of evidence that we don't know about yet, or that are being held back for trial. But yeah, at this point, I don't know. I don't see it. And I do know that she has lost a lot of fans. A lot of people liked her and now say, I feel like I didn't know her before. Now I see the true personality, and I don't like it. I don't like what I see, and I'm not going to watch her movies anymore. So that's obviously not what she wants. She's not going to get hired for roles if that's the way fans look at her. And I'm not sure ultimately if this was all worth it, but again, she says this happened to her, and if you believe what she says, then you understand too why she may be doing it.
And I bet Blake's lawyers are saying, listen, we're going to clear your name, we're going to make everything better, let's go through with this. It's interesting too, though, when you have actors, professional actors going to court, because when they're put up on the stand, it's like, is this real, or is this being put on a show?
They're good at pretending. Yeah, that's a good point. It'll be interesting to see if she does take the stand, how it comes across, and I would think she'd probably put on a good performance.
Before we move on to the Nancy Guthrie latest, the other aspect of this case that I know was a big deal when all this first came out was the alleged smear campaign aspect of it on the part of, Baldoni was accused of basically orchestrating this whole PR campaign, enlisting these PR professionals to plant stories and get banter going online. How would that play out? Like, are the PR representatives of those companies going to be directly implicated here?
Yeah, that actually has happened, and some of those things have been tossed. But you had, and we haven't really seen this much in the past, but you have seen public relations people who are really well known in this industry because they obviously represent the stars and they have a lot of communication with the media outlets, that they have actually been named as defendants here. And it's interesting. I mean, PR people, obviously, they talk to media members. Media organizations have sources, as you guys know. So, what's planting a story, what's giving evidence on background, I guess that's going to be for the judge to determine. But yeah, they have not, both of them have been unhappy with things that have been printed about them, and they have accused the other side of being responsible or being behind those reports.
Okay, now let's talk about Nancy Guthrie. So the latest is authorities are now focusing on what they're seeing in the video, right? What he's wearing, the gun, tracking where these items may have been purchased.
Yes, that's right. So there was a reflective backpack that this person had on, and they have traced that back to Walmart. It's a really inexpensive bag from it's like a $12 or less bag from Walmart. So you've got to imagine they are trying or have contacted Walmart and are trying to track down how many people have purchased that bag in the past. I think, it would have loved for this to have come out earlier, and we'll go off the assumption that it took the FBI a while to track down this footage because Nancy did not have the subscription service that would have saved the video. So instead, they basically had to dig through the servers or storage or whatever it might be, but they had to try and find this footage, and it took some time. But you've got an image. You can see some facial hair. There were clues there, and now they will work and try and identify this person. They did find a glove that was a black glove that was on the ground outside about 1.5 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home. They are testing that right now for DNA. Obviously, we know in the video, in the pictures there, the person had gloves on, so it is possible that this is connected to the abduction. So that would be massive, obviously, if there was DNA in there that could be identified. I mean, this could be the piece of evidence to crack the case wide open. So I think there's a lot of hope now with this new information. We got, if you're interested, and we got a letter, new letter yesterday. It wasn't a ransom note, but we got a note from someone saying they knew who the identity of the kidnapper was. So lots happened over the last 24, 36 hours.
Yeah, one more question. I know you got to get going, Michael, but that note that came into your newsroom, I feel like we had reported something regarding the demand for a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, so we originally got that note on not this Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, and that was, I guess, what you would call a traditional ransom note, because the people said we have Nancy Guthrie, and they demanded a lot of money for, and then $6 million in Bitcoin. This came in yesterday morning at like 4:54 to be exact, Pacific time, and the person said, I know the identity of the person who has Nancy Guthrie, and if you give me 1 Bitcoin, I will reveal that. I don't know, to us, to the police, whoever it might be, but that they would reveal the identity. Now, a Bitcoin, I didn't check this morning, but a Bitcoin right now is trading at about $69-ish thousand, $70,000 last I checked. So, there's a reward for $50,000 out there to risk committing a crime or to be committing a crime. And sending this letter for $20,000 extra, I don't know if that indicates that this is just somebody trying to take advantage of a horrible situation. But maybe it is real. We turned it over to the FBI and to police immediately, and they are now trying to track down the sender.
Okay, Michael Babcock, thank you so much for the update on both fronts. We appreciate it, sir.
Anytime. Thank you for having me. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon, sir.
I wonder how they're getting these letters, through emails?
Email. This one was email.
Specifically for whatever in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. This came in via email. But yeah, I can imagine it's like, I think all the publicity of this is probably overall good, right? Because it's his face, or his or her face, the individual's face is plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with so much publicity, I mean, you think 18,000 tips have come in, and delineating, if it's an authentic communication or not.
It makes me wonder how well they are able to track people down. Obviously, Michael said that they gave this over to the authorities, the email, but like encrypted, I don't know enough about that, but I could imagine that they would be able to, the FBI, track down where this email was coming from, even just the person who knew or said that they knew who has her mom. I wonder if we're going to hear from the family again soon.
Yeah, no, I think they've only done 2 videos. We spoke with an FBI agent about this, and he said, I asked him straight up, I'm like, what is your analysis of, the family and their communication, how they've been handling this? And Ross Rice, kind of one of our legal analysts, and when it comes to law enforcement, said that they have done everything right. He commended the family for their level of communication. He said they've basically comported themselves perfectly given the difficult circumstances. So we shall see. We're obviously following the story, and we'll keep you posted of any developments as we kind of approach the 2-week mark since she disappeared. Okay, we're going to take a quick break though, and here is a love story. This is one of old, and it comes as we approach Valentine's Day. JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, okay, they are the subjects of a new show on FX. It's FX's Love Story. It's a new series. It actually premieres tonight, And this is so exciting. We actually get to talk to the two stars that are playing JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette.
And it looks darling. We were kind of watching the preview on our phone.
Very, very photogenic couple here.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk to Paul and Sarah when we come back after this short break.
You win.
Welcome back. So just in time for Valentine's Day, a show is starting, a love story that the country once tuned into in real life between John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. But this new show on FX is taking a deep dive into their love story that everyone was so tuned into. So it premieres tonight, and joining us this morning to talk about it are the stars Paul Anthony Kelly and Sarah Pigeon, who play the lead roles. Good morning, you two. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Okay, so let's dive in. First of all, what is this love story about? What are we looking at between these two?
We meet John and Carolyn before they meet each other. I think we learn, all about their backstory, the lives that they led before they had this intense connection and upon meeting each other, and then the early days of their relationship, to their engagement, to their marriage, and the obstacles that they faced as having a private relationship in an intense public eye.
Yeah, these were, let's see, I'm 47 now, and so I don't remember when they were in kind of their heyday, but my understanding is they were, kind of I don't want to say Brad and Angelina or the Brad Pitt and Gwyneth, Jennifer, thank you, Jennifer Aniston. But they were all over the tabloids and everything.
They were the it couple.
Yeah,
at the times. Yeah.
They represented a lot of hope and excitement, I think, of the future of what the 2000s could have looked like. They certainly captured the attention of the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you, let's start with Paul and then we can go to Sarah. Paul, how did you approach this role? JFK Jr., I know he's thought of, he's well photographed. There's all fashionable guy, and then, he had a tragic plane accident that took his life. But how did you approach the role?
Because he was such a well photographed, well documented individual, they both were. I was able to utilize that in getting to know him, getting to know how he holds himself, not only in photographs, but interviews. He narrates his father's book, Profiles in Courage. So I listened to that pretty much religiously throughout the entire process or production, just to really get a sense of who he was at his core. From all my research, I really found out that he was just a down-to-earth, wanted to just be a regular guy, despite, being born into the Kennedys and the circumstances that come along with that.
Yeah, okay. Sarah, do you want to talk about your role and how you prepared too?
Yeah, it was slightly different. Carolyn never spoke on public record. There were many books that I was able to read, interviews from people that knew her. My algorithm certainly knew that I was interested in Carolyn. I was constantly fed this sort of never-ending source of information about her, which was very helpful while we were filming. And then I took the photographs and the small amount of video footage that we have of her to find her physicality and using the descriptors that people that knew her talked about, and sort of laid those over one another and found the commonality, and worked with a movement coach to find Carolyn's physicality, her energetic center, and try and have as accurate a depiction of sort of this enigma of woman in our series.
So she never publicly spoke on record, Sarah?
Not about her experience. I mean, of course, there's interviews of her like walking into different galas or fundraisers where she's asked about the night. But no, she never sat down for an interview, never read a book.
Let's hear a little bit about how this series is structured. I know that certain series go on and on for episode after episode, season after season. How is this one structured in terms of the narrative and how they're split up by episode?
Yeah. I mean, we're taking years of a relationship and covering that in 9 episodes. But our first 3 episodes that are out tonight is really, I think, the chapter of the beginning of their relationship. Their meeting, their electric connection and attraction, and this sort of recognition, I think, that each other has of seeing each other in a way that no one else has before. And we see really the beginning of their budding relationship. And I think the sensitivities that each of them have towards what that might mean and the implications of their life. But those are out tonight.
I'm curious. I want to know what's the biggest surprise that you guys have seen when making the love story. Paul, let's start with you.
The biggest surprise I'd seen?
Just in the relationship. Like, was it a typical relationship from beginning to end, or what really stuck out to you?
No, it definitely wasn't your typical relationship. But I mean, what really is a typical relationship these days? They were both from totally different circumstances. John's a Kennedy. Carolyn wasn't. There's this odd mold, I think, that maybe some people feel that they have to fit. And I think that maybe Carolyn struggled with that for a little bit. But, there was something about the way that John saw her and felt this connection to her, where he felt seen for who he really felt he was through her. They had their ups and downs. They worked through it. There was such a connection and bond, and something that they were both so destined to really sort out, that they kept coming back to it. Love is the strongest bond there is, and I think that we really tried to encapsulate that in the show and promote it.
Sarah, what do you think it is about this relationship that has fascinated this country? Here we are in the 2020s. Their relationship unfolded in the 1990s. There have been 30 years plus. What is it that keeps us kind of coming back to this story and wanting to dissect it even more?
Well, I mean, there was such intense fascination with them in the 90s. I think they represented a sense of hope and excitement. They were this modern couple, and I think what they clearly held the attention of the 90s and what the 2000s might have been. I mean, obviously, we know that their lives were interrupted. And I think there's just this constant question of what could have been, what if things hadn't been the case. And I think as well as that, they, in particular, Carolyn, really she prized her privacy, had a very different relationship than John to the press. And I think because of that, there was an air of mystery about about their private life and what happened behind closed doors. I think that's the main focus of our show, of given the reality that they know they existed in, and what we have learned about these people through our research. What might have happened behind those closed doors, is sort of answering, I think, a bit of that, or trying to answer those questions that people had about them in the 90s. So I guess that's sort of the feeling that they captured in the 90s, I think, continues to live on, and the sort of question about what could have been is why we have such a fascination.
Can't wait to tune in. Paul Anthony Kelly, Sarah Pigeon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We can't wait to tune in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I was looking through some YouTube comments on the trailer, and one of them says the doppelganger for JFK Jr. is frighteningly accurate. They made him look exactly like Carolyn and JFK Jr.
It's so interesting too, like seeing these clips from the show and how in love they are, and then interviewing the actors in real life. And it's like, are you guys in love?
I know you kind of want to
ask. You know what I mean? You can't. I know you can't. They're just professionals, but
well, maybe Jake knows all the right
ways to ask. But I feel like
Well, first 3 episodes available on FX. Yeah, absolutely. Tune in, everybody. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to our trending stories, including where Illinois ranks in terms of luckiest states to play lotto. We're also going to run through the death of James Vanderbeek. That's such a sad situation there, and also a really cool new addition to the collection over at the Art Institute. That's all when we come back.
Tomorrow is Friday the 13th. Okay, so we're talking about how lucky Illinois is. We rank number 9 in the luckiest state for Friday the 13th. It's often seen as an unlucky day, but that doesn't stop millions of Americans from participating in the lottery. So Casino.org dug into 6 years of historical Friday the 13th lottery wins and found USA's luckiest cities, stores, and lottery brands across the last 7 Friday the 13th. So Illinois is number 9 for luckiest state for lottery wins, accumulating 3.35 million. The top 3 luckiest states by prize sum are Maine at 1.3 billion, Arizona at 455 million, and Florida with 16.4 million. The luckiest cities by prize sum the cities, Lebanon, and then Gilbert, and then Gilbert, Arizona, and then Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay, so number 9, that doesn't seem very lucky. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to like see if it's a luckier day than normal. You know, for $3.35 million in wins over the last 7. That's pretty good. You know, 9 out of 50.
In the whole state?
The whole state. I'm not much of a lotto player unless it's like a Mega Millions, and then it's fun to.
No, I know.
But I'm wondering if, like, statistically, you'd be better off just playing the regular old lotto. You know, because you know, who needs $1 billion? You just need like, you know, a few mil.
Sure.
Be set for life.
How much would it take for you to quit your job?
Quit? Ooh. I don't know. That's a hard one.
That's a hard question.
What would you say?
I don't know. That's why I'm like, I asked you that. But
Probably. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm thinking like.
You'd have to be able to retire like today, probably. You know.
I don't know. Maybe like $10 million or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That sounds good.
Because like, if it's less than that, you might. I mean, let's be honest. Like, what am I gonna do?
Right. Invest it.
Well, like, no, I'm talking about day to day. It's like.
Go on vacation.
Gotta have something, some project.
Go to the Bahamas. Get that sunshine.
Write a novel.
Yeah,
You know?
sure.
Okay.
Fun.
Another trender today, Caitlin. This is super cool, actually. Do we have a screenshot of this Norman Rockwell painting donated to the Art Institute by our former governor? Look at this.
Wow, it's cute.
Isn't that cool?
I love that.
This right here is what the Art Institute just unveiled after accepting a donation from former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner and his wife Diana. This is a Norman Rockwell 1948 painting called The Dugout. And it was apparently painted by Rockwell depicting a dejected Cubs dugout after a 1948 loss.
When you look at it up close like that, isn't it interesting, like the greens, but you can still tell that it's a white Chicago Cubs.
Yeah. I love I mean, it's so much fun to look at old Norman Rockwell
It's beautiful.
paintings. Aren't they so cool?
Outstanding. Yeah.
Saturday Evening Post.
Like my eyes can't, there's too much to look at. All the different colors.
What a talent.
And
So this is now on display. I would love to know the dimensions. But it was purchased by the Rounders, and that's why we have the Art Institute, right? It's our whole, it's all of our art gallery. You can just go over there and see it. But I think that'll be a big draw.
Oh, it looks big.
For the yeah, it does look big actually. In that
When they're putting it up there? Yeah.
But that'll be a big draw, I think, for folks.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Cubs players themselves will go and get a selfie in front of it.
Absolutely.
You know.
So it's in the Arts of the Americas gallery. And yeah, I mean, kind of a nice move by the former governor and the former first lady.
That was very thoughtful.
Oh, cool. Those old kids. It takes you back in time. It really does.
And our last trender, which this is just, it's a reminder, you know, we were talking before the show about how colon cancer rates have been on the rise. And we had a doctor on not too long ago, a couple weeks back, talking about how if you have any sort of concern that you should go get a colonoscopy, and the new age to get it, is it 40?
I think 45.
45. So with that being said, if you haven't heard, the Dawson's Creek star James Van Der Beek died. He was 48 after his battle with stage 3 colorectal cancer. We were looking into his family too. He has 6 beautiful kids. His wife, Kimberly Van Der Beek, posted about his passing shortly after the news broke, sharing an image post of her husband, where she wrote, "He met his final days with courage, faith, and grace."
Do you have a favorite memory acting? He was so good in Varsity Blues. Did you ever see Varsity Blues?
Varsity Blues was the one that sticks out, yeah.
Yeah, he was so good. Moxon was his character, and he brought that kind of cerebral vibe to that role. I actually never saw Dawson's Creek. I don't know if I was too old for that one, but did you watch Dawson's Creek?
A little bit.
Was that that was in the 90s?
In the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, because I think I was off to college. I didn't watch like too much, but I remember that movie.
Well,
where
we
he played the
watched
quarterback.
his interview too, when he found out that he had cancer, and he was saying that he had some symptoms. And so he went to go get his colonoscopy, and then afterwards the doctor said it's cancer. And he said that it didn't feel real, and then
Yeah.
he woke up the next day and it felt like he couldn't wake up from this nightmare.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that you gotta go get your checkups, and gosh, I just pray for
Yeah.
his wife and his beautiful kids.
Yeah, his fam. He was a big advocate for, as you alluded to, early detection, and yeah, obviously not, blowing off that colonoscopy mandate, not mandate, but advice from all the GI doctors.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get that screening. I think you got to go in to be careful. Like, I don't know if it's every 5 years or every 10 years, depending on your health history. For what it's worth, I've had some GI issues. I've had 3 of them. I'm already 3D. I'm good for like the next 10 years, but I've had a couple bouts of what's called diverticulitis. Very painful, and so as a precautionary thing, I had to have that procedure, and it's not fun, but it's really, honestly, I've said this before, but it's the prep that is the tough part. It's not the procedure itself. You're out for the whole thing,
right.
but the prep is the only
Clearing of the system.
the clearing of the system. It's clean, by the way, real clean once you go in for this. But yeah, you have the day before, got to take it off work, and you drink this solution that basically clears you out so that you're ready for the procedure. But I will say that on the flip side, that first meal, once you have the procedure and you get someone to pick you up from the hospital, you drive to like your favorite restaurant, and that first meal back is really great because you've done all liquid the day before.
Sure.
You're starving.
Yeah.
Oh, one piece of advice.
Oh.
This is a little hack for those folks who need to get it. Schedule it early in the day.
Oh.
Schedule it for earlier in the day, because if you schedule, because you have to fast the entire day before.
So you
if
wake
you
up
haven't,
first thing in the morning.
exactly. So then you wake up, got to get it done first thing in the morning, or as close to first thing in the morning as you can. Otherwise,
You're starving.
you are starving all day leading up to the procedure,
Yeah, I
and
get
that would be hope. So the earlier you can schedule it, time of day, the better.
And I do remember too, when we were talking to that doctor, you probably have stubborn family members or best friends who you're like, you got to get your colonoscopy. They don't want to do it. The doctor that we were talking to said that there are other options that aren't maybe as good as getting a colonoscopy, but they have other things where maybe if they could get a stool sample and check it that way. If the person that you're thinking of that is too stubborn or doesn't want to or is scared to go get a colonoscopy, this might be a good option too, so they can at least get you checked out a little bit. But 48, man, it just shows how short life is.
Oh my gosh, I mean, it hits home for me. I'm 47.
Right.
And just the idea of, the fam being without me, and I couldn't believe he had 6 kids, 6 children.
And a new baby. A chubby, adorable little baby. Ugh.
He had gone viral for a really beautiful social media post that he made. This was just a couple weeks ago that he made this post, and it stuck with me. I don't remember a lot of social media posts. This one stuck with me. Actually, you know what? It was on New Year's. He made a post about New Year's resolutions, and he's like, why do we make New Year's resolutions in the dead of winter when we are all stuck inside, when we are all, like shutting it down? He's like, we should be making resolutions in the spring where Mother Nature kind of reminds you that there's new beginnings, the flowers come out, the grass starts getting greener. He's like, that's the time we should be making resolutions, because we're all about to spring back to life after the dead of winter. Now, he phrased it a lot more eloquently than I did, but I encourage you to check that out. I bet if you did a quick Google search for that, but it really hit home for me, and he kind of makes a good point. We all, I guess mathematically, he kind of makes the point that mathematically, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to make a New Year's resolution when the calendar goes from 2025 to 2026, but everything around you is like, we are in the dead of winter.
We are dragging ourselves
yeah,
out.
exactly. So I kind of, that stuck with me, and I think there's a lot of truth there. It's like,
I could see that.
You know what I mean? So
settle into the winter phase of hibernation and staying inside and eating what you want.
He will be missed. He will be missed. Dawson's Creek, though, yeah, I never checked out that show, but Varsity Blues. And then Jake will know this one, but there's a movie he was in called Rules of Attraction, and he plays a character named Sean Bateman, And if you're familiar with the movie American Psycho, the main character in the movie American Psycho is a psychopath named Patrick Bateman, played by Christian Bale. His character, Vanderbeek's character in the movie Rules of Attraction, is Sean Bateman, who is Patrick's brother, who's in college, and it's a dark comedy, but James Vanderbeek, Jake's nodding around, absolutely hysterical in that role. He plays like the campus weed dealer, if memory serves. We'll talk to Jake about it in a second, but he's just such a talented guy, and yeah, he's going to be missed.
All of his movies and shows are going to be trending now for sure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, though, we're going to be, maybe we could talk to Dave Morales about him. Dave Morales is going to talk to us about this weekend's episode of The Backstage Experience. When we come back, stay with us.
Welcome back, Chicago Now. I'm
Free
joining.
company.
It's a three-shot now. If
Jake's
only for
here.
a moment.
Jake's
Yeah, I'm
here.
sliding into the show a little early. Anthony and I are doing a little bro show in the 11 o'clock hour, but I always love jumping in on this segment because, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I do believe that here on Fox 32 in the city of Chicago that no one does entertainment coverage quite like us. We
No.
get the biggest, we
True.
get the best,
True
we
statement.
get the coolest, and I take a lot of pride in that. You know, a big part of our entertainment coverage is, we got a show that airs on the weekends called The Backstage Experience, hosted by a friend of mine, Mr. Dave Morales, who is joining us live. Dave, so much to talk about, but first of all, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well, and I've been watching you all a while now here this morning, and I really love the fact that you all are talking about James Vanderbeek. Of course, the big news this week of his passing. And Anthony, did I really hear you say that you weren't really a Dawson's Creek
I
viewer?
think I missed the boat on that one. That was 1990s, right? When
Yeah.
it was in its heyday. I think I'm
Yeah.
it happened during a phase in my life where I think I was like off to college and just like out of, not.
And it was also
not
at
in
a time
TV
where,
watching mood.
it was obviously streaming wasn't around, so it was either you watched it when it was on or you didn't watch it. It was kind of at that time. So if you were busy at college, it was, but it was also, it was a big Kevin Williamson show, the guy that created Scream. So he was kind of very much part of that late 90s. But I mean, at least that song, right? You guys know, the theme
yeah,
song.
I'm
Let's
sure
hear it,
I'd know it if
I promise you we want people to watch the show, so you don't want me to sing it. But it's got one of the most iconic themes. In the same way of like the Friends song
Friends theme.
became synonymous, the song from the Dawson's Creek theme.
Intro.
Yeah. Dave, do you have
It's funny, but real quick, I want to mention you guys were talking about how it was a part of your lives. I was on a family vacation at Walt Disney World, and it was finale night for Dawson's Creek, and I skipped riding a bunch of rides in the parks to stay in the hotel room to watch the finale of Dawson's Creek. That's my story.
Wow. Do you have a favorite James Van Der Beek role performance?
It would be Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would be Dawson's Creek. But I never had a chance to interview him, but I've heard just wonderful things about him, and of course, just sending prayers and thoughts to the friends and the family. Yeah, I'm really glad y'all were talking about him this morning.
Growing up as obviously a teenager in Texas, like for me, Varsity Blues was it. That was kind of that because I was also just a hair too young for that movie, but it felt edgy to be able to
for
watch.
sure, to be able to watch, because it was R-rated.
It was very R-rated, and my house, and I take great pride in this. My parents were they were strict about some things, but not strict about others. And movies and TV shows, obviously, because I have this job, they were not strict about movies and TV shows. So my house became the house that my friends came to watch the movies, and having a VHS copy of Varsity Blues.
Did it make you want to be a football player, Jake?
Look at me.
I know why
Nothing about you didn't have to go to camera one. But nothing about this screams.
Sure
that guy's a part of Friday Night Lights. That guy's a part of Varsity Blues. There's a line. One of my all-time favorite line deliveries is from James Van Der Beek. You know what I'm going to say?
I know exactly.
Dave, do you know what it is?
It's from
Varsity Blues when he says, playing football for West Canaan might have been the best thing in your life, but I don't want your life. One of the all-time great line deliveries, Mr. James Van Der Beek. We love you, brother.
Oh,
perfect.
Man.
But Dave Morales, so much to talk about. I'm going to put you on the spot, my man. We are sort of this time. We're 2 days away from Valentine's Day, and I always say, the romance movie that you put on Valentine's Day says a lot about who you are, because I would do like a 500 Days of Summer, and maybe someone's going to do The Notebook, and maybe someone's going to do Titanic. If you're putting on this Saturday a great romance movie, what is the Dave Morales romance or rom-com pick?
Are you just gonna laugh? And honestly, I thought about this a little bit on my drive in this morning. I'm like, Valentine's weekend, what? And honestly, I had no idea you were gonna ask me this. My answer, oh my gosh, I'm putting this out there. I want to see y'all's reaction to this. Twilight.
No, sorry, Dave. We're picking good movies.
I like Twilight. I'm into Twilight. Let's go.
Yeah, you really?
Okay.
Yes.
Dave Morales, sell me on Twilight.
Love Twilight.
Because it's Edward, Jacob. It's the whole. There's love in it. I'm not a real. I'll tell you right now. I'm not a real. I don't like the romantic. I like rom-coms because you can laugh and they're funny to watch. But I also like I want like action and this is why I said Twilight, because it's thrilling. There's action. And then there's love, and that's pretty much. This is turning into a psychology session with me. But that's about as romantic as I'll get. And when you ask that question, honestly. Notebook, which I just saw recently. I was just with Rachel McAdams a month ago, and I confess that I just recently saw The Notebook. Yes, that is a romantic movie.
Wait, was it your first time seeing The Notebook, or you just happened to rewatch it?
I just saw it within the last 6 months.
By the way, both of those movies are about high school love, which is the only part that makes me feel a little weird.
But don't forget that Robert Pattinson is playing like a 400-year-old dude chasing a high school kid.
But Bella isn't. And it's showing.
I know, but she's a high school kid, and he's like 400 years old.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird.
Yeah,
But also, like The Notebook.
I didn't know we were going to dissect it. But yeah, Twilight is well. What's yours, Jake? I want to know yours.
I mean, I love 500 Days of Summer because it's
probably Scream or something.
No, I mean that's a whole other. I am doing this is no joke. Tomorrow night I am doing a Friday the 13th night with my girlfriend.
Nice.
Never seen the. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's love. That's love.
That's love right there.
But I always say I love 500 Days of Summer because it is a movie about a guy who grows up on rom-coms and why that's not a good thing. And if your entire perception of love is a rom-com, that could actually be dangerous because life isn't like that. Life isn't a rom-com. Dave, you and I have seen enough movies to know it's fun to watch for 2 hours, but if you gauge your expectations of another person on them running through airport security to meet you at the gate, you are going to be vastly disappointed. And that's kind of.
You would do it.
Not now. I'm going to get tased trying to get through TSA.
Right.
Yeah. You can no longer do that romantic run through the airport anymore. Like the finale of Friends doesn't happen anymore.
Doesn't happen
in this day and age. You're right, Dave. I'm not wrong.
I agree completely with you. And it's funny that you mentioned running through the airport because, Jake, not only would you be on the news, you would be the news.
Exactly right. Yeah, they would just use me for my own live shot. They were just like, hey, I would zoom into the show as they were taken away. But listen, backstage experience. You guys have so many different things that you're covering at all times. Every time we talk, we never know what different things you guys are covering at any given moment. How is the show? Is the show ready to go for this weekend? Is it cut? Is it ready to go? How's the show looking?
It's ready to go. Matter of fact, your master control department just emailed and said, "Where's the show, Dave?" And it all gets uploaded into this big Fox, corporate thing, and then they download it. But the show's ready to go. Jake, you're going to love this because we had to divide up our preview of the best movies we're looking forward to in 2026. So coming up this weekend, I want to get your vibe on some of these. Project Hail Mary, we're talking about. Dude, Ryan Gosling.
Oh, I mean,
but here's one.
Well, quick, sorry to interrupt you, Dave. We had Gosling came in studio not too long ago, and the story that I always tell isn't how kind he was to myself as he always is. You've met him. He's an unbelievably kind guy. He's Canadian, comes to the territory. But how smitten he was with our own Caitlin Cody.
The opposite.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I was smitten with him.
Well, look at him. I mean,
I melted on the floor. They were like, just don't ask him to take a picture. Don't be annoying. He walks in the studio and I'm standing there. Like, he's walking right towards me. What am I supposed to do? I asked him for a picture.
Okay, to be fair, they kind of and I think they did it to make sure that it wasn't 500 people.
I don't even know if it was them. It was probably our own crew.
But
that was like, don't.
But he was basically telling everyone, you want a picture? You want a picture?
I know, he was the nicest thing.
Didn't he join you for a weather hit?
No.
No?
No.
Apparently, I've been telling the wrong version of this story for
He
years.
did smell like soap just like you do every day.
Well, we shower. It is a thing. But you're absolutely right, Dave Morales. Project Hail Mary, if you haven't read the book, first of all, it is unreal. It's from the guy who wrote the book that The Martian was based on.
What's the premise of it?
So it is. They've given too much away in the trailer, but the idea it is. Oh, Dave, I'll let you. Dave, I'll let you. I'm hijacking your segment.
No, you're not. You're not, because actually, and this is funny, this was a hard episode for us to work on. John Stenval, also from the Backstage Experience, our co-host, he did a lot of this because I purposely, and I've told you this before, Jake, I don't watch trailers. I like to go into projects cold. But for this particular episode, I did get stuck watching just a little bit of these trailers.
Sure.
So I don't want to really just tell about the story, but he looks scruffy.
He's got the kind of the Notebook look. The concept is that he is sort of an astronaut who is sent into space because Earth is dying, and we need, and he is our last ditch effort to save mankind. Therefore, it is Project Hail Mary.
Okay.
I like that idea.
Yeah. All right, what else is on the list?
The other movie that we were talking about this weekend, and I really want to get y'all's thoughts on this one, Devil Wears Prada 2. It's finally happening. Everybody's coming back. What are your thoughts?
Everybody. Anne Hathaway is back. The Tooch, Stanley Tucci is back. Emily Blunt is back.
The whole gang.
It looks good. I love that the joke in the trailer is that Anne Hathaway comes back, and people were like, wait, is it? Yeah, the joke in the trailer is that Meryl Streep doesn't remember Anne Hathaway, and people were like, oh, does she have Alzheimer's? No, she's being Miranda Priest. She's being a jerk and failing to acknowledge, because there's no greater insult to a person than I don't remember you.
Yeah.
But the trailer looks fantastic. I don't know. I'm always nervous about these legacy trailers that come out 20 years later. But Dave, you're feeling confident?
I'm feeling confident about this one, and that's again one of the most exciting movies that we're looking forward to. Chapter 2, or Volume 2 of the Backstage Experience, and you can watch. Oh, Dune 3. I got to throw that out there.
Hold on. Is Adrian Grenier in this one?
That's a good question. Did they?
He played the boyfriend,
together?
right?
He was the boyfriend, but what was their deal?
I don't know. It's been too long.
I got to rewatch.
That's a pull. I don't remember what he was.
Devil Wears Prada. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you get to interview your girlfriend? Anne Hathaway, your other girlfriend.
Yeah, we really must emphasize, because Iris watches this show. Anne Hathaway, who's been very kind to me over the years. I'm hoping, obviously it's a little too early to be doing interviews for that. I'm sure Dave and I will be chatting with her.
Okay, it's
probably a little bit closer
I'm
to the
excited.
summer.
Oh, I know about your relationship with Anne Hathaway. She's a sweetheart.
Good friendship, I'd like to emphasize to my girlfriend who is watching this show.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and I hope that everybody watching agrees with the moves that we're excited about the backstage experience. But you can watch it right here, Fox 32 and Chicago Plus, all weekend long. I love talking with y'all. And before I forget, Mom says hi.
Good. I remember when she came in the studio. Dave Morales, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, brother. We'll see you soon, all right?
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, everybody. We have another hour. Chicago Now, right
Ryan
after
Gosling's
this.
my boyfriend, so
There we go.
I could have a boyfriend and a husband.
On Fox.
Buckle in, everybody. Buckle in.
Buckle
it's Jake
in.
and Ponce for the next hour.
Bro Show.
You are just back from a wild little adventure.
Yeah, man. It was a really fun series of live shots this morning. So obviously we're 2 days away from Valentine's Day, and not just 2 days away from Valentine's Day, from a Saturday
Valentine's Day. That's big. We got a sitter, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Now we just need a plan.
Does that
the thing
imply
is, that's 95% of the battle. When you have kids, if you get the sitter, you're 95% of the way.
That's it.
Now it's just
it's it. Okay,
doesn't even
now
matter.
you got the sitter. Do you have the plans?
No.
No, you have no plans.
But that's the easy part.
Sure.
The plan is the sitter is the hard part.
Well, because there's so much pressure. Like if Valentine's Day is on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, you can kind of chalk it up to like, okay, we can do something, but we all got to work. When it's on a Friday or specifically a Saturday, you got a lot less excuses to not have plans.
To phone it in.
Yeah,
so you are just back from Navy here, but for those who didn't tune in to GDC this morning, I'm actually intrigued by it because I do not shy away from cold water.
No, really?
No.
Really? Okay, so
I go in.
They're doing this thing. Everything out at Navy Pier is sort of taking part of this. It's called Love on the Lake. And basically all of the shops and the restaurants and everything at Navy Pier, they're doing something, right? They're doing something, so we kind of showcase the fact that the Ferris wheel is going to be lit up in Valentine's Day colors. They're doing 9 p.m. fireworks. We went out to one of the restaurants, Reunion, which is an Art Smith restaurant. They still got a couple of reservations available. They've got this $55 prefix menu. Great, Valentine's Day themed drinks. They're even doing a thing for, what is it, Galentine's Day on Friday?
Day, yeah.
So that was great.
By the way, with Galentine's Day, bottomless champagne. Bottomless shark.
I was really, you like zoned in on that, man. You were like really zoned in on that.
I was.
So then in the 9 o'clock hour, I kept hearing about, because sometimes you show up and you're doing a morning live shot, or you don't find out you're doing something to the day of, and I was kind of going over some of the stuff we were doing, but I knew that every hour was a different stop, so I was like, you know what, we'll worry about the 9 o'clock when we get to the 9 o'clock. So we get to the 9 o'clock, it's a floating sauna. And it is exactly what it sounds like. On the north side of Navy Pier, right on the water, it's this sauna, not too much smaller than the little stage, elevated stage
which is about,
right now.
looks like it's about 10 by 10.
Yeah, and it's a good sized. You got to make some reservations, but the hook is, and I've heard about this before, that it's like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, right?
Exactly.
So the hook isn't just that you're going to the sauna, it's that you're taking a break and then jumping into
Lake
the
Michigan in mid-February.
Which, here's what I can tell you, is that like around the sauna, there's water. About that far from the sauna is where the ice starts.
Oh.
It's icy. Now, listen, we've been very lucky to have, 40, some 50-degree temperatures. It hasn't been enough for, look, there it is.
Yeah, you can
see the ice, exactly. Is there water?
So you probably have to sign something now that you probably got to sign a little waiver.
Yeah.
Because if there's ice, they don't want any people over-imbibing on the bottomless champagne.
Exactly. But so you gotta just be, like with anything out there, right? You want to be careful, but I'm sure there are going to be people out there with, it's the Kiln floating sauna, the Kiln team out there. They're doing a great job. I'm sure they're going to do a great job keeping everybody safe. But so you partake.
I would totally do that
sauna,
because I've done the whole, when you rent a lake or a mountain cabin or something and go skiing, there's always a hot tub, right?
Yeah.
And I never am bothered. When you're in the hot tub, you get your body core temperature way up. Walking in the snow, you take like a little, hey, I dare you to go roll in the snow, like that kind of thing. Easy.
Okay, but I'd argue that's a little easier than jumping in Lake Michigan in February.
For sure.
I will say we had some very, very brave, kind, selfless volunteers on our live shot who volunteered to jump into the lake for the live shot, because I lovingly told our producers, no, not long before I even knew I had to do this show in the 11.
But Jake,
I'm not doing it.
Caitlin told me, Caitlin and I were watching that together, and she specified, because we all do the polar plunge.
Right, for Special Olympics.
For Special Olympics, a great cause. And I was so glad, almost relieved, but not surprised to hear that you and Caitlin did the full plunge.
We did. I mean,
all the way under.
When you do it, because whenever you go out there for Special Olympics, there are teams that do it once an hour for 24 hours, right? And the whole idea is that these teams are raising money for Special Olympics. It's an amazing event, an amazing cause, and I'm so happy to have participated so many times. But we're just doing it the one time, right? So you're surrounded by these people who are fully submerging 24 times over the course of, which means that at the most they can sleep for like maybe an hour, and then so what are we gonna do? We can't go and like dip a toe. Like you gotta do the full thing. But
I've done the plunge.
You've done it.
I've done the plunge with coworkers who go up to about here.
No, then what's the point? Then what are you doing? What are you even doing?
You just prance through the water.
If you're going to do it, and I will say that we've had some people who've gone up to the.
It's not cool.
It's not cool. I'd argue this is going to sound terrible. I'd argue don't do it.
I would
if you're not going in all the way.
And here's a warning to anyone who's thinking of here at Fox 32 about doing that and not going all the way.
We'll call you out.
I will call you out I will call you out every year. On the polar plunge. I will make fun of you endlessly.
We 1 year it was so cold that they had to bring in a backhoe to break the ice.
Oh my God!
So that we had a small area to dip because because the ice had gone out so far out into the lake that we had no place to actually do the polar plunge.
It would be nice if there was a sauna on premises too.
That would be.
There was always like a heated tent.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, it's funny. The Lake Michigan is so cold that I don't know if you've noticed when you do the polar plunge that you're kind of comfortable when you get out of the water.
Yeah.
Because the air temperature it just doesn't even phase you.
Exactly right.
For a little moment in time. All right, we got a lot to get to here during during the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking about book adaptations when it goes from the page to the screen.
Yeah.
Jake, these can go one way or the other.
Well, usually they go a negative way.
Yes.
Every once in a while. And so we're going to be talking with, this is pretty cool, Amazon's senior editor to preview some stories that are making that jump from the page to the screen. But also, we're going to be talking with, there's a big page-to-screen adaptation opening in theaters tomorrow.
What is it?
Wuthering Heights.
Oh, yes.
Which is going to make all the money, like come on, like a sexy, steamy period romance opening on Valentine's Day weekend. It's going to make all the money in the world. So I'm talking with, we're going to have Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi on the show talking about the adaptation and talking about the book.
They're like at the top of
they're
the
it. Jacob Elordi's Oscar-nominated right now. Like Margot Robbie.
Frankenstein, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
And you have
another book-to-page adaptation.
Were you the one who I had seen an item on Wuthering Heights, how it's purposely in
quotations, exactly.
Okay, can you tell us why that is?
So
you asked the director about that.
The
right?
writer-director, Emerald Fennell, she did Saltburn and Promising Young Woman.
Saltburn, whoa.
And so this idea is there, and we talked about this with Margot Robbie, that this adaptation of Wuthering Heights is not a like page-for-page perfect recreation of the novel. In fact, what she argues is enough of those have been made. There are enough adaptations of Wuthering Heights out there that that if you need that exact replica, if you want that one-to-one, then they're there. There's a mini series. There's one with Ray Fiennes. So what she set out to make, she first read this book when she was 14 years old, and she remembers how that book at that time made her feel about certain things and made her feel about love. And so what she was attempting to recreate with this movie, it still follows the general story, but she's attempting to recreate that feeling that she had reading Wuthering Heights when she was 14. So that's why if you look at the poster, if you look at the title, it's Wuthering Heights in quotations.
That makes sense.
Because she doesn't want to.
She doesn't even want to position
exactly.
it as a one-off.
Here's what I'll say: if you're a high school kid who is assigned to read Wuthering Heights, if you write your book report on this movie, you will fail. You at least get the cliff notes, but do not write your book report on this movie. It's not gonna. If you start writing your book report about how much Charlie XCX played a role in Heathcliff's, it's not going to break your way.
Jake, do you have a Mount Rushmore? I don't know, Mount Rushmore top book to film.
I'm always a big believer that there are two different mediums. I don't think a movie has to perfectly follow the book in order to be successful. And I think the perfect example of that, and that both are perfect in their own right, but both are fairly wildly different, is Stephen King's The Shining.
Oh, okay.
I think Stephen King's original novel is a beautiful, terrifying piece of horror literature that is fantastic to read in the fall with like some cider and on a spooky night. It is a brilliant read from a very early Stephen King. Stanley Kubrick's adaptation is not a one-to-one. It is wildly different, particularly in regards to the final act. It's a very different piece, but I think Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a 10 out of 10.
It is. It really. So do you know what Stephen King thought of?
He did not like it.
He did not.
And famously, his argument is, Stephen King struggled with alcoholism and drug abuse, particularly earlier in his career. And so much of The Shining is about Jack Torrance's struggle with alcoholism.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in the novel, he ends up overcoming it and ultimately sacrificing himself to defeat the Overlook Hotel to save his family. It is this giant metaphor for this guy struggling with alcoholism who beats alcoholism.
Who slays the dragon.
Yes. And the movie basically turns Jack Torrance into the villain and basically still makes him an alcoholic, but he ends up being a villain up until the end, to the point where he ends up, 40-year-old spoiler, freezing in the maze at the end. And so that's why I always tell people, if you get the chance, most people have never seen this movie, there is a sequel to The Shining.
Yes,
called Dr. Sleep.
I still have to see that one.
It is a movie that I'd argue is just as good and just as necessary as The Shining. If The Shining is about alcoholism, Dr. Sleep is about recovery.
Okay.
And if you've only seen The Shining, you've only ever seen one half of the story.
Wow.
Because the second half is about the young boy, Danny, his son grown up, now inheriting his father's demons, who must go back to the Overlook Hotel and finally learn what it means to recover.
Wow. That's a great setup.
So that would be my argument. But there are movies that are better than the book. Jaws is a perfect example.
Jaws was a book?
Jaws was a book by Peter Benchley. In fact, you can see Peter Benchley in Jaws as the reporter whenever they're kind of all on the beach. But in fact, Peter Benchley actually ended up regretting Jaws because of all the harm that it caused sharks. But there's so much about Jaws, the novel, that's not great. There's a plot line in Jaws, the novel, where Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss in the film, has an affair with Chief Brody's wife. It's a whole thing.
Didn't make the movie.
Didn't make the Spielberg cut. But Jaws is a 10 out of 10 and a perfect movie, and you could live your whole life and never read Peter Benchley's novel.
Okay. Well, I will say Stephen King as well. My favorite book adaptation, you know this, it's not going to be a surprise to you, but Shawshank. Yeah.
Yeah. Rita Hayworth in the Shawshank Redemption.
To me, that's a 10 out of 10.
Exactly
movie.
right.
Yeah,
but that came from a collection of, because it was a short story.
Yes.
And to be fair, a Stephen King short story is the length of most people's novels.
Totally.
But it came from a collection of short stories that also included The Body, which was turned into Stand By Me.
Oh, the Stand By Me.
And there was one other, forgive me, it's going to come, but it was like a collection where like every one was a banger. All of them were 10 out of 10.
Oh, was it Green Mile?
No, Green Mile was a 6-part novella series that they ended up publishing together.
That's by Stephen King, though, right?
Yep, that is by Stephen King.
Okay.
Because, I mean, he has two perfect, great prison stories.
Right.
But the Green Mile is Stephen King telling the story of Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Yeah, because John Coffey, JC.
I remember reading that whole thing.
Yeah,
all the symbolism there.
So Stephen King is a much deeper author than people give him credit for.
Man, his range is absolutely
unreal. It's unreal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We want to show you something that's trending locally before we go to break here. And this has happened before on Lake Michigan.
Yes.
The icebergs.
Yeah.
Out on there. Look at this.
Whoa.
Jake. I don't know if you can see this from your condo tower, but look at this. Reddit users have been sharing videos of coyotes walking on the loose. What are they doing out there?
Is it wrong that my initial reaction is to like worry for them? That like
no, I worry too.
Like I really am worried that one of them's gonna.
Apparently, it's mating season, and that's why they're out and about. I remember though, Jake. So that looks like a pretty solid sheet, but there was a story.
Also, the zoom on that camera.
It's pretty impressive. There was a story where the Coast Guard, I want to say, had to go out and rescue a wayward coyote.
Oh, really?
It was on a drifting iceberg.
Oh,
so
wow.
The coyote had no, it was boxed in. Does that make sense? And it was just a floating iceberg. But there they are out on the lake.
Honestly, I see this video and I just think of my pup Daenerys.
Right.
You know, kind of looks like one of them just out there
Coyotes,
on the ice.
Man. They're more and more spotting sightings.
I mean, do you remember?
I've seen them in my neighborhood.
Have you?
Yes, for sure.
Really?
On the way into work, because we're traveling. We're coming to work 3 a.m. and they're out at night.
See, I remember like during COVID when the city kind of emptied out. Remember they all kind of started walking just casually around downtown. It was kind of like the most like crazy apocalypse movie.
What's that movie? The Day
After Tomorrow. Exactly right. We're like, because remember like whales came back to the East River in New York. Remember, like after a while, and that very much is a thing that happens in these apocalypse movies, where after a while the animals all come back.
That's right. The Earth reclaims itself.
Exactly.
Here's something else we want to hit on before we go to break here.
Joke.
No joke, Jake.
I thought this was a joke.
All right. So for Valentine's Day, and this is just in Illinois, from what I remember, McDonald's unveiled this McNugget caviar. Okay, you know, when I get the 4-piece McNuggets,
sure, you only get a 4.
Listen, Jero gets a 4, but I always take the dad tax from him. I'm like, give me one of those nuggets.
You take 25%.
Yeah, I take 25% of my kids.
That's a high tax.
I know it is. I know.
At least buy them a 6 and then take one.
No. I'm used to the ketchup, the BBQ sauce, perhaps the honey mustard, but no.
Oh, have you tried buffalo? Buffalo's the way to go.
At McDonald's?
At McDonald's, buffalo's the way to go.
Caviar, they unleash this thing. It's a 1-ounce tin of McNugget caviar and a $25 gift card for the chicken McNuggets as well. And there we go. The kits were free. People ordered these online, and they sold out immediately. I'm kind of not surprised.
Why would they not call it
this happened? Let's see, 11 a.m. Demand was so high, many people reported the site crashed.
I mean,
so it's the novelty.
Listen,
people go nuts over this.
Not a classy enough.
I actually have never had caviar.
Really?
Have you?
Yes, I have.
What does it taste like?
Salt.
Salt.
Yeah, it's salty.
What's the amount of the texture?
Well, the thing,
mouthfeel?
it tastes exactly like what it is. It tastes like fish eggs.
Does it really?
Well, it's like
salty.
But the thing is, it's always like you got to put it on something. So but I end up tasting more like it's salt plus whatever it is you put it on. Okay. I'm not listen. I'm not a fancy guy, but so that's not really I'd be much more impressed with the nuggets.
With the nuggets.
Give me a box of nuggies, and I am good, my man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a grown man.
Yeah, no. Hey, no shame. No shame.
Nuggets.
Kid at heart, Jake Hamilton. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we get to speak with our friends over at Block Club Chicago about some of the top headlines from the neighborhoods that they are covering this week. So stay with us. We will be right back with more Chicago Now after this.
Always love talking with our friends at Block Club Chicago, specifically our good man, Mr. John Hanson. Now, John, we've got so many things that we're going to talk about, but we were told in the break, John actually has a great book to movie suggestion.
I got One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is an incredible book. And then Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I love spy stuff, and that was a great adaptation.
Did you know and now I don't want to get too far on a tangent because we have things we have to talk about. For One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that book is from the perspective of Chief, right? Yep. And then he's still very much, the book is. Okay. And then Chief is very much still a character in the movie, but the movie, it very much focuses on But they're redoing, I think they're doing like a limited series that I believe that's going to be told closer to the novel. It's going to be more from the perspective.
When you did it, like that was perfection of a movie. We don't need a limited series.
You're exactly right.
I hate when that happens sometimes. I mean, maybe it'll be great.
They
and
did
I'll
it
love
with The Shining. Remember, they tried to do a Shining limited series that was closer to the book. They called it Stephen King's The Shining. And it
it was a no-go.
It sucked. It just was. Yeah. So you're right, dude. It was one flew. John Hanson.
Good to see you, sir.
This is why I love you, brother.
Good to see you.
And to pepper in some movie stuff for you, Jake. All right, what do you want to talk about today?
Okay, we got 3 things we want to talk about with you this morning, John. First of all, you guys are reporting that Chicagoans could report parking scofflaws via 311 and see better enforcement. What kinds of parking violations are we talking about here?
Right, because this is kind of controversial. Do you want to report on your fellow scofflaws in traffic? So this is for commercial vehicles that are in bike lanes. If you've ever biked around the city, you see it all the time. Someone puts on their hazards, they're unloading stuff into a shop or whatever the case may be. And I don't think there's anything nefarious. They just see that that's the only open space on the road to do it, and they move into the bike lane. Well, the city has said, look, we can't enforce all this on our own. So they are moving forward with a proposal that I could take a picture, call 311 and say, look at this truck. They are in this area. Come and give them a ticket. Now, we can't actually issue tickets as citizens, and just taking a picture and sending it in doesn't give them a ticket, but then it would dispatch someone to the area quickly and give them a ticket. And I wonder if you guys, because I know local businesses are struggling, right? They're just trying to get their deliveries. Would you report on your fellow Chicagoans just trying to do their gigs?
I would not, because I think driving around the city can be tough, and the guys and gals that have to drive these trucks, that is a big task.
That's a very interesting question, John. And I am, by the way, a cyclist and a cycling advocate. Okay, I cycle competitively.
So you have a really good perspective on this, then.
But what I've noticed is, and this is to my fellow cyclists, I don't live in the city anymore, but I just remember, and I've experienced it myself, a lot of these bikers, they don't obey traffic laws themselves. They blow through, they blow through all too often red lights and stop signs, okay? And they get level 10 rage mad when anyone is in the bike lane just for a moment. Yeah. And I just don't understand some of the aggression.
Yeah, it's a little rules for thee and not for me.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
you hit the nail on the head. So I don't think.
Let me counter that, because I agree. And look, I've cycled around the city too, and I'll blow through a stop sign, right? Or I'll do a rolling stop, a really slow one. I've also been a driver that's violated the rules too. Let's just be frank about it, right? We all do this stuff.
Right?
Yes. But when the city's trying to set up bike lanes so that bikers and cyclists can have these spaces that are more theirs, keep them safer, cyclists would argue, look, we could argue all day who violates the law more. Maybe we could all get better on this, right? But in terms of a bike lane that is protected, that is supposed to keep them off the main street, right, to try and avoid some of this back and forth that we have, then let's keep the bike lanes pristine and you figure it out. So Look, every time I see a cyclist video, because a lot of them have the GoPros on and they take these videos, sometimes I end up watching it just being like, could the cyclist just show a little more grace to a driver who maybe didn't know the rules and you should always look for cyclists before you open your car door. But cyclists really take it on themselves and are very, sometimes, not all, aggressive in their countermeasures. Could they be a little bit more, hey, look, try not to do this in the future, perhaps. But I feel like a lot of cyclists are saying, look, we put up this forever. We finally have a city that's giving us these bike lanes. Let's respect them. But I don't know if I would ever, I think it's bad karma to call on your fellow drivers.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to get it the next day.
I agree with all of that. I just think that in terms of my motivation to actually, if I'm a cyclist or just a driver, to actually bust out my phone and report it, I just don't think I'm going to be that motivated.
Again, to play devil's advocate for in favor of these drivers, okay, then what is the alternative? If they have to make a delivery to one of these shops, do
they take up the lane?
Do you block traffic?
Right. We're talking about different things here, right? I mean, it's a great point, Jake. Where else are they supposed to go? Some of these are protected bike lanes where there's a concrete barrier and a driver will literally drive 2 wheels over the low barrier and do it. That seems aggressive. Some of them, as we know, the bike lanes are just green paint.
Exactly.
I think that's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm envisioning is just a green strip.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there have been times where I've been yelled at or had my, the car for just trying to parallel park. It's I can't avoid the bike lane entirely.
The bike lane is between.
Yeah, and the whole thing, to your point, Jake, it's we're supposed to share the road. cars need to get in the bike lane sometimes, and bikes need to get in the lane of traffic, and we just need, I do think there just needs to be more cooperation.
John said it best, like sometimes we all need to show each other grace.
A little more grace.
But I will say, if there's a delivery truck parked for an hour there, like, come on, we need to go to the alley. I mean, we have alleys for a reason in the city, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so what happens next? Before we move on to the second story, but where does this stand in City Council? Kind of what happens next with this proposal?
It's supported by Alderman LaSpada. It was introduced back in 2024. It advanced Monday from the city's Committee on Pedestrian and Traffic Safety, and then the full City Council potentially could vote it on the 18th of February, though sometimes from committee to floor vote we see a delay. So that's where it is. It just needs a floor vote now.
Okay. All right. Very good. Next up, Punchki. I don't know if I'm saying Patchki, Punchki. Okay, hey,
I feel like at least once a year, you could do one of those Last Week Tonight with John Oliver montages of Chicago reporters try to say Punchki. And it's just like all of us kind of go,
So Fat Tuesday, hold on, Punchki Day is Tuesday, February 17th. Okay, so I know, I don't know, Jake, you're from Texas, but here in Illinois, Casimir Pulaski Day used to be a day off of school. And that is when it first occurred to me just how many people of Polish descent live in the city of Chicago. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but do we not have the biggest Polish population outside of like Warsaw?
That is definitely the often cited stat. I think someone debunked that once, but that is definitely something Chicagoans like to say. It's definitely a massive population. But
so what's going on if we want punchkis?
Well, we just always do a roundup about the punchkis and where to get them. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly at all, like the Northwest side, right, is where you get a bunch of these punchkis, the best places. You go into Mount Prospect, some of the near Northwest suburbs where a lot of the Polish immigrants congregated. But we did a little write-up about what they are, why they are. Obviously, they're very, they're rich yeasted dough, right? They're a specific kind of dough. It's not just your sourdough. It's like this very rich, dense yeast dough, which I don't even know the words I'm saying out of my mouth. But they're fried, they're filled with jam or custard or fruit, and sometimes get the powdered sugar. And Tuesday's the big day. It's the start of Lent, or that's when you fill up right before Lent, right? It's a little earlier here this year. We had a late Easter last year, so it was a later. And we have kind of a whole rundown of some of the places go. There's also a bunch of them, I should also say, in the Bridgeport neighborhood, too. But we have a best, look at the best ones. There's Alliance Bakery, which is kind of near, Division and Paulina. There's Ann's Bakery, also in the same area. Some Ukrainian village. Oh, there you go. You're scrolling through it right now.
Look at that list.
Delightful Pastries is my recommendation. That's on the far northwest side. They have a line out the door every single year up in Portage Park. But there's so many, and this is just the city specific. I know that there's so many in the suburbs, and I will just say, these days, people might roll their eyes. Oh, it's Punchki Day again. These are where some of these bakeries make their dough, for lack of a better, for pun intended, right? This is their big day of the year. So let's give them some business. Let's go to the local spots. I know some of the national chains, God love them, I go to them too, have tried to recreate Punchkis at some of the bigger locations, the ones that the donut shops maybe that we know. But let's not do that on those days, right? Let's go to our local bakeries on Punchki Day.
Well, I have a question for you. I know, John, you've done plenty of TV in your time. You have a long, great history of working in television. I often say that I think we've probably all done it, a Punchki Day live shot, I think, tends to be one of the most thankless assignments you can get. And my argument is always, you're putting me in the middle of a kitchen on the busiest, to your point, not just the busiest, the most important day of theirs, and a day when they are running and then gunning and they're trying to make these things as quickly, and they've got lines out the door, and you're putting my stupid butt in the middle of their kitchen. How do you make the punchkis?
And your producer's hold on, Caitlin's going along with the weather.
Exactly,
and you're
right.
We set up this
and I'm in the way, and I'm saying, excuse me, sorry. And those kitchens are tight, right? They're real tight in the back.
Yeah.
I guarantee you had to have done those live shots before.
And they've been up since midnight. They're sweating everywhere, and you're trying to get 30 seconds of good TV
and
out of
I'm
them.
there, making sure my makeup is right, and there's not a strand of hair that's, and they're giving me the hairnet. I'm like, do I really need the hairnet, though? And they're like, put the hairnet on. It's
Jake, what I like what you've done about this segment is we've turned a story about local businesses into us, and I really appreciate that.
I'm sorry, is this the first time you've met me, John? It's my specialty.
I jumped right in there with you. Yeah, think about the poor reporter on Bush.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you're right. It's a tough life.
And then you get criticized when you get back to the newsroom for not bringing enough Punchki back for the whole class. All right, here's another Daniel Espada story. John, tell us about these robots. And there's kind of a little controversy in his ward, the first ward, right?
Yeah, so just a re-rack for people, we've talked about the robots on the show before. I'm sure you guys have too. They're delivery robots. Here they are. A couple years ago, they were approved under a pilot program, started rolling out in 2024, and there's been some neighborhood pushback. Not that it's like, oh, aren't these cute and they do their job, but do they take jobs from other people? And look at these narrow sidewalks that they sometimes maneuver. Literally, we've had stories of people like dodging their way out of these things. Not that they're in imminent danger, but we talked about how crowded the space on the streets is. It's even more crowded on the sidewalk. So they are looking to expand their reach. They're in these pilot areas on the north side in Lakeview and then also in East Wicker Park. And they were set to grow their breadth of where they can go. And the alderperson said, hold on, let me poll the neighbors. And he put out a survey. And again, these aren't scientific surveys. These are people who are fired up about something. That's usually people who are angry. But it was 83% of residents said, no, let's not do these in our area. And so the alderperson is basically going along with that vote saying, this is pretty overwhelming. People don't want these. And I don't know. I see it both ways. I like advancing technology. They're kind of cute, right? And look, you could say, let's try and hold on to gig economy jobs forever, right? We've tried to do that with every good job, but we don't have elevator people that run the elevators anymore. Like, technology advances, and this may be the way of the future. But I do think the argument about like sharing space in crowded spaces and having to give way for people that aren't, or things that aren't people, is a valid argument. And there's petitions online that you can sign and get a part of, but that's basically the sum up. Not going to expand in the Wicker Park neighborhood.
Okay, so it's on hold for now. John Hanson, good to see you, sir. Thank you
for you, buddy.
Your time, as always. And
take care,
One
guys.
Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Yes.
Nest. Great pick there.
Great pick. Great pick.
No,
go ahead, John.
So.
Oh, I thought we had John. John, we love you. We'll see you next week, brother.
We will take a quick break, and then on this note, Jake, Wuthering Heights. Your segment is coming up. I'm fascinated by this whole thing. You want to set it up before we go to break?
Yeah, we're going to talk with Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi about, obviously, Wuthering Heights, a new movie, about the book, but also about what I think might be people's misinterpretation of the story. We'll explain when we come back. Plus.
kiss me. And let us both be damned.
I will tell you, walking out of the screening last night, I did hear someone go, when am I going to find my Heathcliff?
Oh, I love that.
And I kind of paused and go, did you and I just see two different movies? Like, that's what we're going for? That's aspirational?
Yeah.
God, listen to me. I'm like,
no, that's beautiful.
The feeling.
I would love to get your thoughts for someone who walks out of this film or maybe the book and their life goal is to find their Heathcliff. To that person, you would say what?
If he pulls out a dog collar,
yeah, run.
Maybe that's a good time to
That's
go.
just a good life lesson in general,
Just
really.
Unless you're going for that.
Yeah.
Right.
But you'll know.
But, yeah, it's a good rule.
But other than that, like passion, wears his heart on his sleeve, always there, constantly watching over
romantic
you,
gestures.
would kill somebody for you.
Yeah. You know.
That's it.
What a guy.
I can follow you like a dog to the end of the world.
That any film, novel adaptation, it's never going to be one-to-one. It's never going to be an exact copy. I'd love to know, what is a change that you made to your character that you're proud of, that if Emily Bronte were standing right here, you would be able to say, here's why I made that change, and I think it was the right call.
Because I feel like I didn't make a change to Kathy. I was really trying to do the version of Kathy. It's true what you said, though, because it's kind of a blessing that so many adaptations have already been done of Wuthering Heights, so that you can kind of feel a little more free to be like, there's so many you can go and watch, and you can have moments of the book kind of put on screen in the different iterations. And here's a new version. This is more of an interpretation rather than adaptation. It's it's Emerald giving you the feeling she had when she read the book at 14. It's not a page-for-page recreation, which you can't do. It's impossible for any book, but particularly for this book, impossible. So instead, what she's done is taken the feeling the book gave her and then made a film to give you that feeling.
So obviously, I think because of this new movie coming out, there are going to be a lot of people running to the bookstores and grabbing this centuries-old novel, Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. The movie adaptation hits theaters tomorrow. We had the chance to chat with the stars. I think it's going to do big box office, but it is not the only page-to-screen adaptation.
Yeah, run us through. This is a big theme of the year. Run us through some of these other ones. I've heard so many people talking about Heated Rivalry.
That's which apparently is a very big show on HBO. Yeah, there's a lot of them. But I want to talk with Lindsay Powers, who is the Amazon senior editor, because she's going to kind of go through some of these ones that we're going to be talking about. Lindsay, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really craving a punchki right now. Do we think
she's in. Lindsay,
where are you joining us from? Out of curiosity, it looks sunny where you are.
I live in Brooklyn now, but I grew up on the west side, the west suburbs in Chicago.
Oh, so you've tasted the sweet punchki before? You've had it.
I missed Kashmir Pulaski Day.
I'm
realizing why do I work on that day?
Did you have it off as a kid?
I did. I grew up with that day
Come
off.
on. Great to have that day off. It was such a treat every year. Okay, Lindsay, let's run through this. We want to start off by asking you, what makes a book fit for movie adaptation in your mind?
Yeah, well, look, you read this book, you have this big image in your head as you're flipping through the pages, and there's so many details. We get the inner dialogue of what the characters are not only saying out loud, but what they're thinking. So there's just such fertile ground to be able to adapt it to screen, and perhaps none more so right than this humongous drama, Wuthering Heights, that people are so pumped for, that's opening in theaters on the 13th.
Listen, I think the movie is going to be huge. I actually really liked the film whenever I saw it a while back. But I will tell you, I've never read the novel. I did do a quick wiki read of just to kind of understand what the differences were, Lindsay. And I do believe that if someone is a die-hard fan of the novel and they want that page-for-page recreation, they're not going to be happy with them. And isn't that, but that's like it's rarely page for page. Am I right?
That's 100%. And I think that makes it kind of fun that you can have this book that you love, and then you can have you can see your favorite characters come to life on the screen in a way that you can still connect with them, but maybe you can think of it as it's like expanding the universe. You kind of know Kathy and Heathcliff from this iconic novel, right? Some folks say it's the greatest novel ever written or the greatest love story ever told. And now you can say, okay, now I'm going to see Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi's version of this Gothic romance, and what's the vibes from that?
And I think you said it right. It's, you know, someone's version. And the thing that they kept emphasizing to me when I had the chance to chat with them is, listen, if you want that exact recreation, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's been made. There's a BBC miniseries. Like, go enjoy 8 hours of Wuthering Heights. But this is the Emerald Fennell, Margot Robbie, Jacob Elordi version of that.
Yeah.
And you know, if we already have the exact recreation, why? That being said, okay, but then again, I'm also like, I'm playing both sides. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and I was very excited. They did a movie adaptation of The Long Walk last year.
Oh yeah.
And I was so excited. You know, it's one of my favorite Stephen King novels.
Love that book.
And I got really upset because they changed who won the competition.
Oh.
So I do think that there are some things that are forgivable, and I think there are some things that are not forgivable. And I think when for example, I think the winner of a competition is not forgivable. What say you?
I get that's hard because we love these books. They make us feel a certain way. And then when huge plot points are changed, it's like, wait a minute, that is not what I remember. But I think the benefit of a film like Wuthering Heights is, right, the book came out in 1847.
Yeah.
So maybe it's been a minute since you've read it. Maybe you read it back in high school English. Maybe you're rereading it with your kids. So I think that, like, there's a little more wiggle room for liberty to be taken here. And I think it's ripe for like a modern interpretation because Gothic romance is having such a moment. If you're reading romantasy, then you're going to look at this kind of possessive, passionate love in a way that feels very modern. And it's such a good excuse to be like, well, now I'm going to go back and read all of the Bronte sisters, right? Because, you know, we don't just have Wuthering Heights, we also have Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. So there's like a whole reading journey that you can go on after watching this.
Lizzie, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask her because Jake and I and our previous guests all ran through our favorite book to movie adaptation. So while we have you on the line, you know, you're a senior editor over at Amazon. Do you have a favorite book to movie adaptation?
I was afraid y'all were going to ask me that when I was watching. And I was thinking, like, do you have a favorite kit? You know, you just really can't
actually,
answer that.
I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, that sounds like a whole different segment. But the one that I was thinking about, so I'm reading The Power Broker, which is a 50-year-old book by Robert Moses. Right, I'm the nonfiction editor at Amazon. And they're talking about an adaptation for that. And I am just, like, so eager for that to come to fruition.
Robert Moses. He was the higher up in New York City, right? In city government, right?
He was like the head of the parks department. Right. He built all the roads and the bridges. He revitalized Central Park. And there's, you know, he's this like he's the power broker.
He was kind of like a Daniel Burnham type character, but, you know, if we're in Chicago, like, you know how Daniel Burnham plays big in the Devil in the White City.
Yeah, of course.
That could be a cool adaptation.
Which that should. I mean, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be.
We've been waiting on that one forever.
Yeah, well, because it's gone through different iterations. It's a whole thing. You know, there are so many. You know, one of the things I love about these book-to-movie adaptations isn't necessarily whether they get it 100% right or whatever, but that it inspires people to go back and maybe pick up a novel. Like, honest to God, there are so many people out there right now who are reading Homer's The Odyssey because the Christopher Nolan movie is coming out, to which I already say the best adaptation of the Odyssey has already been made, and it's called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, that's right.
It's going to be hard to top that. But like the amount of people who like, a whole new generation is reading Dune now. Like I loved Dune as a kid, but none of my friends read Dune, and now all my friends have read Dune.
Nice.
Like the fact that it is inspiring people, whether they like the adaptation or not, to crack open a book and say, all right, I'm going to give it a shot, is got to be just the coolest thing in the world.
I agree. And you know, the book that I'm seeing everybody reading everywhere, like on the train, is Project Hail Mary,
Yes.
which is the new Andy Weir adaptation. And like maybe you saw The Martian, which was a movie that came out in 2015. That was another one of his books. Now we've got this Ryan Gosling star that's coming to theaters on March 20th. He wakes up in space. His whole crew is gone. He's the only one who can save the world. He has this impossible mission, and this is coming out on IMAX. It's going to be a real thriller. It's full of tension and these gripping moments that are hard to put down. I saw the preview during the Super Bowl. My 9-year-old is like, when do I get to watch that? And I'm like, let's read the book, kiddo.
Good trailer.
The trailer. Lindsay, thank you so much. It's making me excited, not only about going to the movies, but also picking up
reading
a book as well. Thank you so much, Lindsay Powers. Nice to see you. Come back for a Punchki pretty soon.
I'll be there.
Yes, excellent. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, man, Jake,
this is interesting. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this next topic.
Well, okay, so my oldest is about to turn 10, okay, and a lot of the existing studies on social media, they focus on kids 13 and older, but we know that younger kids, younger and younger, she mentioned her kid wanting to see, hey, when do I get to see Project Hail Mary? Theo, every time he sees I'm like, dude, that's R.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't grow up in your house.
Yeah, I was saying, so he would have come to my house if I was a kid. Yeah, exactly.
Like, you got to get a friend with a
who has it? Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we're going to answer the question of, how is social media impacting kids that are younger than that threshold. 13 is normally the age where, hey, certain parents let their foot off the gas and allow social media. So social media and youth mental health, we're going to be joined by an associate professor in the Department of Medical Social Sciences at Northwestern University to talk about this very important issue for parents and kids alike when we come back after this. Okay, welcome back. Most existing studies about social media focus on kids that are 13 years and older because that is the age you can technically create on many platforms a social media profile. However, we know that younger kids are using social media. What we don't know is exactly how it is impacting their development, how it's impacting their mental health. There's a new study that is aiming to answer this question. So joining us now to discuss it is Associate Professor in the Department of Medical Social Sciences at Northwestern University, Dr. Courtney Blackwell. Dr. Blackwell, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm right in this wheelhouse here. My child, my oldest, is almost 10. He's clamoring to have a YouTube account so that he can start his own little YouTube channel.
Man.
I don't think I've told you that, Jake. Yeah, he wants to start a channel with his buddy. You know, them talking about whatever it is they talk about.
Sure.
Trampolines and
Sure.
I don't know.
Is that what kids talk?
Influencers and trick shots and things like that. So, Dr. Blackwell, can you tell us about this new study, when it was conducted, and kind of the approach here?
So it's part of a really big study that's nationwide. We surveyed kids of all ages, and we had about 4,700 8 to 12-year-olds respond to the survey about media use. And what we were really interested in is seeing what are these kids doing, right? They're not technically allowed to be on social media yet. So what are they doing on social media? What types of platforms do they use? How might it impact their health and development?
You know, Dr. Blackwell, I'm one of the things I brag about is I'm part of maybe the last generation of kids who kind of grew up without the internet and without social media, and I take pride in remembering a large portion of life without any of that.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we forget that enough time has passed, that there is an entire generation of kids that have never known life without some form of social media or internet. And how much does that play a part in not just, you know, in high school, Facebook becoming a thing, but like since they had a memory, they were hearing about these things?
Right, exactly. And a lot of times we know kids like to emulate the kids that are slightly older than them.
Yep.
And so, right, so they're looking at these kids that have used it for years and they are wanting to use it too. They're wanting to make those connections and get online and play with friends in this online environment that's the only environment they've really ever known. They haven't known what it's like to not have it.
Okay, so you focused this study on 8 to 12-year-olds. What kinds of responses did you get? What kinds of things did this unearth? Are they copying on their parents' phones and using this? Are they scrolling on Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it Snapchat? What's going on?
So of all the kids that we surveyed, about 2/3 said they had used social media. So that was about 30,000 kids that we have data on. And what I found interesting was we asked when they first started using it. And some of the kids started using it, they reported at age 5.
Wow.
Our average age was around 8 or 9. So they're starting young. And like your family members, YouTube is the top platform. 88% of these kids said that YouTube was their #1 platform. Some of the kids are using the other ones, but it drops dramatically. So TikTok and Facebook, those are around 20% of the samples said they use those. So really YouTube is the top platform for these kids. We found it interesting that when you look at older kids, they're saying they report maybe 4 to 5 hours a day on social media. It is kind of nice to see that these kids said they're only spending an hour and a half. So it is a lot less time, but it's still time spent on social media.
You know, I know no kid wants their parent, you know, going into their social media and looking at their things. But what is that balance of, like, you want to make sure your kid is safe and that, you know, that no one's trying to reach out to them or anything. So what is that balance of, like, showing your kid that you respect them and that you got freedom, but also making sure that they're safe?
So there are some design features within the platforms now where you can add some parental controls. And so that's one way where you're not getting in the way of their interactions all the time and not having to check up with them, but you're putting some parameters around it. And then also just thinking about having a conversation with your child, right? It's almost like their diary. You wouldn't go in every day to look through and snoop through their diary. You don't want that. You don't want to create that because, you know, of course, adolescents and these preteens, they're just going to go behind your back more. So you really want to open the discussion with them, just like you would talk about anything else going on in their lives, and really kind of get an idea of what they're doing. Who are they interacting with? How long are they using it? What types of things are they doing? In our study, we found that a lot of kids were using it for fun, right? And then also just to connect with family and friends they already knew offline.
Makes sense. So, okay, one of the major findings, 88% said YouTube far and away is their #1 platform. Before we let you go, tell us what happens next with this research. What are you guys going to be doing with it, Dr. Blackwell? Where does it go from here?
So we're looking into how their use and what they do is associated with their mental health problems. I think one of the big things we found is that 9% of these kids actually met some thresholds for problematic social media use. And that means they're thinking about it all the time. They're using it a lot more. They're replacing other things in their lives for social media. And so how does that